Welcome, my darling listener. Settle into the shadows and let the whispers surround you, for tonight's tale will drag your heart and your courage to a place where innocence turns sinister. For this is The Cradle at Stillwater Creek, a story not of what cries in the night, but why. Are you brave enough to find out? Let's begin. Somewhere nestled in the heart of an ancient forest lies Stillwater Creek, a sluggish stretch of water as old as time and as unknowable as a dream. People come to the edge of the creek despite the locals' warnings, drawn to the water out of some visceral, inexplicable compulsion. It isn't particularly beautiful, nor wide, nor deep, but something about it feels alive, like it's been watching the world longer than any of us have. About 30 years ago, when the fertile soil surrounding the creek birthed a village, tragedy struck. A pale blue cradle was found rocking gently in the shallows, empty yet faintly weeping under the light of the full moon. The people of the village shrugged it off at first, assuming it belonged to someone nearby. Yet, when the cradle reappeared the next month, and the next, they took notice. By now, no family claimed it. No grieving mother retrieved it. Soon, they whispered of curses and spirits that wander past the mortal veil. Why else would a child's cradle, eerily unmoored, drift so persistently upon the black waters? One could argue, couldn't they, that superstition often comes from a fragmented truth. Something broken, something ancient, left in the past. Let's meet Evelyn now, caught in precisely such a fragmented moment. Evelyn is a historian, disillusioned with her sterile desk-bound life. She arrives at Stillwater Creek just before dusk, armed only with a camera, a flashlight, and a sliver of curiosity. A curiosity she so foolishly called innocent. But innocence, my dear, is so often ignorance wrapped in pale smiles, isn't it? As the sun sinks low, Evelyn finds herself by the creek. The water makes no sound. Even the surrounding woods seem to hold their breath. Yet she senses movement but sees nothing except the sliver of the moon's reflection stretching across the surface. Was it the whispers of old warnings in her mind, or maybe the many books of folklore she once devoured, that made her palms damp and her pulse quicken? Either way, she stands still until she hears it. The cry. Oh, the sound wasn't any ordinary infant's wail. No, it was somehow older, more knowing, vibrating with emotion Evelyn couldn't name, but felt slip into her bones. She peers out over the water and almost smiles at the absurdity. It's just a cradle. Yes, a pale blue cradle, drifting eerily toward shore. But her smile falters when she sees what dangles over its edge. A baby's tiny sock, soaked and stitched with faded golden embroidery. Initials, CL. Something about that detail chills her more than the night air. Returning to her rented cabin that night, Evelyn investigates. She searches through digitized archives and unearths the fragmented tragedy of the town from 3 decades earlier. A mother, Cecilia Lawson, had drowned in Stillwater Creek, or so they thought. Her child, born premature and fragile, vanished shortly after her death. But here's where it gets peculiar. The cradle first appeared the month after Cecilia's death and has appeared every full moon since. Always untouched, always weeping, yet never aging. Darling, would you have looked further? Or would you have run far away? Fueled now by the compulsion for answers, Evelyn waits until the next month's full moon to reveal what the locals have feared for decades. She wades toward the gently rocking cradle, feels the murky water pulling at her like phantom hands. Her curiosity, her determination. Is it as brave as she thinks, or foolish? She retrieves the cradle, noting the faint weeping has grown louder. It sounds hungry, despairing. Removing the tiny sock, she discerns its purpose. A marker, a name tag, left by a grieving mother. Inside the cradle, nestled in moss and fragments of moonlight, she finds not a child, but bones. A bundle no larger than an infant, wrapped tightly in a waterlogged blanket. Evelyn's gasp drowns in the cry that now echoes deafeningly in her ears. Holding those tiny remnants, she suddenly understands the story. The child, cursed to this cradle, seeks only its mother. Its weeping becomes her weeping. Its grief flows into her heart like the endless tide. She stumbles backward into the creek, desperate to drop the cradle, desperate to escape its hold. But the water rises, wraps around her legs like vines, and pulls her under, almost gently, almost lovingly. Days later, the cradle drifts to shore again, and faintly rocking in its pale blue hollow lies Evelyn's camera, a single photograph tucked inside. A photograph of her, cradling the bundle under the full moon, smiling with glassy, vacant eyes. Do you see now? Perhaps the cradle wasn't abandoned after all. Perhaps it found what, or whom, it was looking for. Perhaps it still does. And so, dear listener, it's time we part once more. The cradle drifts on, and so do we. But remember, when you hear weeping by the water, do not follow it, unless you're ready to become part of its story.